welcome to another edition of South Texas Crossfire. Bienvenidos a nuestra familia aquí que están mirando, a nuestros amigos de Lopez Broadcasting y aquí en este canal. And also it's going to be played on YouTube. We welcome everybody, including our friends. Bienvenido a mes amis que falam le français aussi. Bem-vindo, mis amigos que falam português também. We are broadcasting everywhere on the World Wide Web, and we welcome everybody because we're all in it together. Post-COVID-19, we're all trying to help one another. With me today, I've got a great lawyer, great colleague, and you're going to hear about his journey and why he does what he does on personal injury, employment law, and all the other areas in between. Welcome, Robert. How are you?
Doing great, Joe. Thank you for having me, and doing very well. Hope you're doing well as well.
Well, Robert, your journey and mine, goes back 20 years. 22. Started law school together. But people want to hear your story here locally. Tell us about how you got interested in the law and your childhood experiences that formulated why you became a lawyer.
Sure. Well, to give a little background, my family is from Brazil. My mother is from São Paulo, Brazil, which is the largest city, kind of like the New York of Latin America. I was born there at the Albert Einstein Hospital in Morumbi. And from there, grew up 3 or 4 years and then relocated to Austin, Texas. And then my dad got an opportunity to work in the city of Corpus Christi in the budget department. So we loaded up our little station wagon and we drove from Austin down to Corpus and began our lives here. So really all my memories, all my childhood, everything that I've known has been here in Corpus Christi, where I went to Windsor Park Elementary and was a proud Windsor Park Owl. From there, ended up as a Baker Bronco for 3 years, and then graduated from Ray High School in 1994. So I feel very connected to South Texas and to Corpus Christi in particular. I love the city. It's in my heart. It's in my blood. I love the people here. I love being a part of this community. And so now, after having graduated college at University of Texas and 3 wonderful years at South Texas College of Law in Houston, I'm here dedicating my life to do what I'm passionate about, which is helping injured people, fighting against injustice, and representing those who are voiceless, powerless, who don't have the opportunity to defend or fight for themselves. So it's an honor and a privilege to be able to stand beside people who have been injured, who are voiceless, so that we can seek justice and fight every day for that.
Many people have this perception about lawyers, and I'll just go on record here, that say there are too many lawyers. And I always say not enough good ones that are protecting those of us that are voiceless, that need to be heard. And so I commend you for your efforts. But let's dive first into your last years of high school. Were you not one of the top-rated advocates in all of the state of Texas?
Well, I don't know about that, but I was passionate about what I did.
Let's not be modest.
In 7th grade, there was a lady, Ms. Nelson, who was the speech teacher at Baker Middle School. And she started a program of mock trial. And from that day, where I got to be an attorney in the mock trial in her classroom, 7th grade little Robert was able to kind of get his first exposure to the idea of the legal system. And something happened that day that sparked an incredible interest and incredible passion, and the stars aligned and fell in the right place where I felt that was my calling. It's what I was supposed to do. And so even then, at a young point, I felt compelled and attracted to it. And once I got that inspiration, I never looked back. I started doing debate in high school. I knew that it's what I wanted to do. So ever since 7th grade, I knew that I wanted to fight for people. I wanted to be a lawyer. And every day after that, I've dedicated to achieving that, and every day since I've become a lawyer, I've dedicated to helping people.
Well, very well said, and which brings us to your days at South Texas College of Law and the mock trial teams and competitions, and also in your formative years, you did do defense work for a while, defending corporations, companies, and it gave you, how did that give you that perspective to now fight on the side of those that are less fortunate, those that lack the economic resources to take on big corporations? How did those first few years before you went out on your own in 2004, how did that impact why you do what you do, and how does it help your client, because you know the other side.
Well, I have a very close friend and mentor, Dr. Antonio Andrade, who's an ear, nose, and throat doctor here in Corpus Christi. He's one of the people who has always guided me since I was young. He has a strong spiritual and medical connection in this community, and he's someone I've always looked up to. And he found out I was in law school, and he had the most respect for another attorney here, a guy by the name of Daryl Barger. And he said, if you're going to practice law, you need to work with Daryl, and you need to learn from him. And so he made a phone call to Daryl to see if he would be willing to meet me in the prospect of getting a job. And I was able to meet Daryl, and with Dr. Andrade's help, he paired us up, and I got an internship to work for his law firm, Barger, Hermanson, McKibben, and Villarreal. And I worked very hard, did everything I could that summer to show my best, and to Daryl and the different partners that I worked with, Jim McKibben, Tom Hermanson, Richard Woolsey, Tom Silver, wonderful people, Carlos Villarreal.
Surfer, and God rest his soul, Carlos Villarreal, excellent appellate attorney.
And
He
so
is not forgotten.
I had the honor to learn from some of the best lawyers in not only the state, but in the nation. And what I found, that even though I had a brilliant opportunity and that I was able to learn that side, it wasn't where my heart lied. It wasn't what I was passionate about. And I felt anybody could do that job of defense work. And all of the fruits of my labor were going towards helping large insurance companies, large companies. And so there was kind of a disequilibrium, and I felt my heart was not into what I was doing. I've always had the desire to want to be having a direct relationship with my client and be able to help someone who had an injury, someone who needed a voice, needed an advocate, needed a fighter, needed a hero to fight for them. And so after learning everything that I could and seeing that perspective, I jumped out into my own and formed the Heil law firm. And ever since that day, I've been representing criminal clients, injured clients, and fighting one-on-one with my clients to seek that justice, to seek that equilibrium that I'm talking about, where we can try to restore the balance when someone's been injured, when someone's been hurt, to try to find a sense of justice through compensation, through a money award, to try to make their life a little better, maybe a little bit more comfortable, and to restore that imbalance that took place when someone hurt them.
Have you ever felt yourself powerless in the legal system? Have you ever seen the injustice and felt it firsthand, and felt that even as a lawyer, I feel powerless?
All the time. I think you have this idealism when you come out of law school that you now have this ability to help people and you have all this power. But in actuality, the judges hold a huge amount of power. They can strike your case down and basically award your client nothing before they even have the chance to get to a jury. And so there's a lot of disillusionment, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of disappointment because you become emotionally invested in your client and you don't win every case. And because you emotionally connect and are invested with that person and their plight, and you know that they've been wronged, when your case gets thrown out or you lose or they don't get anything, which doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen, then it's devastating, not only for them, but for you, because you have that connection to them and with them. And so that hurts, and it makes you realize that we are, in a sense, powerless within the system. No matter how good you are, no matter how hard you fight, no matter how hard you work for your client, then you don't always have a guarantee of victory. What is the silver lining on that is that if you can get to a jury and you can present their story and tell their story in a simple way and recreate what happened to a jury, then you have a chance to actually have justice, because you have 6 or 12 people who can listen to that, who don't really have an interest one way or the other in the outcome, and who can decide what the outcome should be, and they can actually create and administer justice. And so I do have a lot of passion and belief in the people, in the juries that can hear that evidence and do the right thing, and to create this balance that I'm talking about, to create justice for people who've been catastrophically injured or who've been harmed.
You and I both have graduated from the Trial Lawyer College. Jerry Spence, an excellent trial lawyer, I would argue to say one of the best trial lawyers over 2 centuries, in the 20th century and still now in the 21st century. And in the winter of his career, he has still made time to train trial lawyers. Tell me about how that impacted the way you looked at the justice system and how the Trial Lawyer College has changed the way you practice law.
Well, Jerry had a vision. He's one of the most recognized, most successful lawyers in the history of the world. Hasn't lost a case since 1969, I think it is. And he didn't even strike jurors. He told the truth, he told the client stories, and he learned how to connect and to relate with people. And what's beautiful is that he created this little community in the middle of nowhere in a little city near Du Bois, Wyoming, just outside of Jackson Hole. And his vision was to train injury lawyers and criminal defense lawyers to basically learn how to best fight their cases, how to best fight against insurance companies, to best fight against abusive governments. And so he created the Trial Lawyers College in a barn in the middle of Wyoming, basically to teach people how to fight and win their cases. And he's kind of like an old Jedi warrior. He's got all these tricks and all these experiences and all these insights that are just incredible. And he's basically helping and training people to learn how to deliver the story and to understand the story and to tell the story in a very powerful way that everyone can connect with. And his result is that he's achieved huge success, not only in his own cases, but in training people in that method of telling the story and telling the truth and letting it come out and letting it connect with someone emotionally. That he's created a very powerful community of advocates who fight for justice, who help the powerless, the voiceless to advocate for their clients and to win those cases, and also for criminal defense lawyers to be able to use those same methods to achieve incredible results. And so having been in that program and being a part of it, I can tell you how incredibly soul-searching it was, because he breaks you down to nothing and forces you to address all your own issues to make yourself better. And then ultimately, as Jerry says, you're working on the horse and not the saddle, where instead of investing in a bright, shiny saddle to put on a horse, you break it down and you're trying to improve the horse, which is you, to make yourself a better vehicle, a better advocate for your clients.
Well, very well said. I want to thank all my brothers and sisters out there at the Trial Lawyer College that have graduated before us and, God willing, will graduate after us. And let them know that sharing your truth and your vulnerability also helps bring out the story of your client. And so we're both very fortunate to be graduates from that, and I think it's made us both better lawyers.
I agree completely, and we got the honor and the privilege to be accepted into the program. Nationwide, Jerry and trial lawyers only take in about 50 people in the whole country who are lawyers to train them in these techniques and these skills and these very powerful methods using psychodrama and telling the story. And so to be able to participate in that and learn from that, and now to be able to use those skills to make and fight for people and achieve some sense of justice is a huge honor. And so being able to see that has been absolutely wonderful.
And we'll be back after this break, but again, thank you, Trial Lawyers College, all my brothers and sisters out there. And South Texas Crossfire is not just here in Texas, but in spirit everywhere, from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, to Du Bois, Wyoming, to New York, to LA, to San Diego, all my friends in Florida, all the wonderful people that I met, and we were able to share our story as trial lawyers. We were able to share that vulnerability, and I want to thank you all for that. When we come back, we're going to use these concrete examples that we've learned on how we work on cases. And Mr. Heil is going to share his cases on employment law, but also on personal injury and traumatic brain injury when we come back. And we're back after a brief break. You're watching South Texas Crossfire, 15 years strong. I want to take this time to thank the Lopez Broadcasting family, but also our good friend Dave Mendez, who makes these productions happen. He's been with us 15 years, over 15 seasons, and we thank him for all of his work and the artistry that he's done. With me again is Robert J. Heil, a graduate of Trial Lawyer College. By the way, Trial Lawyer College does not endorse this program, but I am a lucky graduate myself to have been chosen among many to train as a trial lawyer there, along with my life experiences. So we're back, and the Trial Lawyer College, started by Jerry Spence, and his vision tells us to show our vulnerability so we can hear from the juries and the jury selection and get the story out to those juries. So let's use some of the techniques and some of the stuff that we've learned. Let's talk about concrete cases that you're working on right now that many of the Trial Lawyer College brothers and sisters help us out on. Let's start out with an employment law case and a verdict you got, and about the jury selection, your experience on that case, and why you got the verdict. You don't have to tell us the amount, of course, but tell us why you got that verdict and why that was cathartic and why that was life-changing for you by using these techniques. Can you share that a little bit with the audience?
So it's a case where I represented a professor at a college, and he had basically been standing up for what was right. He considers himself to be an academic freedom fighter who fought for students and for other faculty there at this particular college. As a result of that, his standing up and fighting for what was right, he started getting treated really bad by the college. They started discriminating against him, making life uncomfortable, taking away pay, threatening to fire him just for him doing what was right and being an advocate for people.
For students?
For students and professors, for various issues. He fought for tenure, he fought for students' rights. Unfortunately, the administration at that college, in my client's view, had a lot of credibility issues and weren't doing things in the right way, and were taking advantage and stepping on rights of professors and students. So he always fought for those students, for those professors, and I stood with him and fought those battles. At any rate, he filed several lawsuits, whistleblower claims, lawsuits for things the college was supposed to do and they didn't. All of that got resolved, and then the college didn't do what they were supposed to do in that case. So he sued them again, asking them to do what they said they would do, and it went to trial, and he was able to get a very substantial verdict against them. But these trial lawyer methods and techniques, in this case, were profound, because basically just the idea of being able to get to the heart of that story and to not just tell it in words from a third-person view, but to show the jury what happened and show them the story instead of telling them the story. By doing that and capturing and understanding the real emotions, getting to the heart of the truth of the case. Once you're able to do that and you can dive into this deep emotional truth of what the case is, and you're able to show that, then you're really just a medium and a vehicle for explaining something that happened and showing the truth to the jury. And once they see that and once they connect with that on an emotional level, then the results are profound. And they, at that point, have so much power to take that injustice and to restore the justice and award amounts to the client to try to make that situation whole again. And so it's an incredibly powerful process.
I think that it's fair to say that juries are working for their families. Juries have tremendous amounts of commitment to their children, to their parents, to their job, and maybe they're facing medical or physical or psychological problems. And sitting on a jury panel, they don't want their time wasted, and that's what I've learned throughout the years as a trial lawyer and then my graduation from Trial Lawyer College. You have to give them, I think, something to anchor onto that has meaning, that you share with them, and they can say, I can relate to that, I can feel that, I can be part of that, I can be part of this tribe on a jury to reach a verdict.
I think the idea is to connect with people and to find that commonality. And what I have seen and what I'm learning about, and I will say learning because I haven't figured it all out. I'm beginning this journey and going through this process. But what I have learned so far is that these connections and these universal truths between people of honesty, integrity, showing the bad parts of your case as well as the good parts of the case, and just having an honest relationship with a person and building an emotional connection, one person at a time. Once you're able to achieve that and you have that connection, then they're open at that point to hear and understand the story and the emotional truth of your client's injury, of your client's suffering, of their pain, and they can see what actually happened. And in a sense, you transport them back in time to the moment where your client was injured, and you show them that. You paint that picture, and you show the story. You set the scene, and you put them in that same place with the client, and they hear the noises, the crash, boom, bang, and the scream, ah, that your client makes when he suffered that injury. And they have that truth, and not just hearing about it, but seeing it. And once that's done, then the truth can be heard, and they can make the right choice at that point so justice can be achieved, hopefully.
And you know, we've used this thing where we do focus groups and people that really, you know, you put yourself out there when you're practicing your case. I remember one case that I presented, and lawyers were the jury. And this is not easy, right? And I did my usual opening statement, and they said, "You're smooth, you're great delivery, you're a great storyteller, but you sound like a funeral director. There's no passion." And I think you remember that. I think that, and then they said, "How many people trust this guy?" And it was really, really hurt. It hurt because you saw that people were like, "I like him, he's nice enough, but I don't know if he knows the case, and it's not touching me." And so they make you do it again and again and again and again and again until you understand that you're not only speaking for your client, but you're also giving voice to that jury to understand. Like you said, you know, that they feel that they heard that crash. They felt that crash. They felt their body being crumpled. And then they wake up in the morning and they are in pain. Next day, the following year, and the jury has to understand that they only have one time to deliberate and write a check for that person to be compensated for the rest of their days. And I think that's what it's all about.
I think you're right. You're talking about truth and showing what happened. And some of these insurance companies and these defense companies, corporations, don't want the jury to see that. They don't want them to hear that. But as a lawyer, we got to do our job and show what happened. And then the jury at the end has the chance to hear all that and see how much suffering has gone on. See how much pain this person has been through, see what they actually went through and how their family was affected. And at the end, hopefully they'll make a just decision on what amount of money will compensate them for that. In reality, no amount of money is ever going to make it better, but by assisting them and allowing them some small benefit makes their life a little bit more comfortable, makes things a little bit better, and gives them some solace, some benefit for the terrible tragedies they've had to face.
I'm at home. I'm watching this program. There are thousands of trial lawyers just like you in the United States. Why should I even pick up the phone and give you a call or reach out to Mr. Flores to find you? What makes you different that will give me a voice? I'm hurt. I don't know if a jury will give me any money. Why should I hire you?
I think that when you pick a lawyer, that you need someone who's going to care about you and who's going to listen to you and understand and feel what you've been through. Also, you want someone who's going to be effective in getting the best results that you can. I believe that by listening and understanding and being able to show that story to a jury is what allows you to be able to get those great results and allows you to have that connection with your client so you can get the best result. Because I think at the end of the day, the client wants someone to listen to them, to understand them, and to be able to show their story so they can get a great result. And I believe that by putting all of these things together, that can happen. Obviously, there's no guarantees, but if you can do things and you can do them that way, then you have the chance to help somebody, and that's what it's about.
Well, thank you, Robert J. Heil, and you are watching South Texas Crossfire. If you have legal questions or information that you think is relevant for this show, we're going to have him on again. You can send it to us at joe@floreslawfirm.com. That's joe@floreslawfirm.com. You can also call us at 361-887-8670. If there is something that you think is unjust, that is injustice, that is not serving well to you, your family, your community, you give us a call. I'll do something about it. I'll look into it. I will put it on this show and bring great trial lawyers like Mr. Heil here to talk about it and to maybe answer the questions you have, or maybe just say, you know what, they dismissed my medical malpractice case of my father. They dismissed it. There is no justice, and maybe, just maybe, I want other people to hear about how these unjust laws have closed the courthouse doors. And in that truth, we share it together. So call me, 361-887-8670. I want your voice to be heard. Let me be your voice. This is Attorney Joe Flores. Thank you all, and God bless.